हरि ओम। ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री हिरण्यगर्भाय नमः। ओम श्री महाविष्णवे नमः। ओम श्री महादेवाय नमः। ओम श्री महादुर्गायै नमः। ओम श्री राम रामाय नमः। ओम श्री सद्गुरवे नमः। ओम शंकरं शंकराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। शङ्करं परमानन्दं ब्रह्मनिष्ठं यतीश्वरं भाष्यभ्रान्तिहरं वन्दे शुद्धज्ञानैकबोधकम्। ॐ नमः शिवाय। 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 नमः पार्वतीपतये। हर हर महादेव। हरि ओम। हरि ओम। Today we will begin with the study of this beautiful stotra. It's called Sri Dakshinamurty Stotram by Bhagavan Sri Adi Shankaracharya ji. This is a stotra, a hymn offered to Sri Dakshinamurty Bhagavan. Dakshinamurty Bhagavan is the form of Lord Shiva only. Bhagavan Shivji alone appeared as Dakshinamurti. There are only 10 verses in Sri Dakshinamurty Stotram, and there are few verses in the beginning called Dhyana Shlokas. So Dhyana Shloka are chanted before we study this Dakshinamurty Stotram, and thereafter we will chant and do the study of the 10 shlokas. Now we will chant the Dhyana Shloka. I hope you have a book with you with the shlokas written. There are a lot of books available online also. So let us chant the Dhyana Shloka. मौनव्याख्या प्रकटित परब्रह्मतत्त्वं युवानम् वर्षेष्ठान्ते वसतृषिगणैः आवृतं ब्रह्मनिष्ठैः आचार्येन्द्रं करकलितचिन्मुद्रमानन्दरूपं स्वात्मा रामं मुदितवदनं दक्षिणामूर्तिमीडे वटविटपि समीपे भूमिभागे निषण्णं सकलमुनिजनानां ज्ञानदातारमारात् त्रिभुवनगुरुमीशं दक्षिणामूर्तिदेवं जननमरणदुःखच्छेददक्षं नमामि। चित्रं वटतरोर्मूले वृद्धा शिष्या गुरुर्युवा गुरोस्तु मौनं व्याख्यानं शिष्यास्तु छिन्न संशयाः निधये सर्वविद्यानां विषजे भवरोगिणां गुरवे सर्वलोकानां दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ नमः प्रणवार्थाय शुद्धज्ञानैकमूर्तये निर्मलाय प्रशान्ताय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। हरि ओम। Bhagavan Sri Adi Shankaracharya ji has written commentaries on the Prasthana Trayi, the 10 Upanishads, which are the very Praman, the original Praman, the Anadi Ananta Praman, to realize and recognize our own true self. There are many Upanishads, but Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji has written commentaries on 10 of them. Ishakena Katha Prashna Mundamandukya Tittirihi Aitareyancha Chandogyam Brihadaranyakam Tatha. Bhagavan also wrote commentaries on Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita with 700 shlokas are the essence of the teachings of the Upanishad. Sarvopanishado gavo dogdha gopalanandanaha partho vatsa sudhir bhokta dugdham gitamritam mahata. All the Upanishads are like the cows, and Bhagavad Gita is like the milk of this cow, which is milked by Bhagavan himself for the benefit not only of Arjuna, but for the benefit of all true seekers. Shankaracharya ji also wrote commentaries on Brahma Sutra. There are 555 sutras in Brahma Sutra, and Bhagavan wrote commentaries on these sutras also. But apart from these commentaries on this Prasthantraya, Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji also wrote many stotras and prakarana granthas. And among all of them, the most sublime and most beautiful is this Sri Dakshinamurty Stotram. There are only 10 verses in this stotram, which is actually a stotra in praise of Sri Dakshinamurty Bhagavan. But also, through this stotra, Bhagavan gives the very gist, the very essence of the teachings of Advaita Vedanta. Every question which arises in our mind when we try to inquire about ourselves, when we try to inquire and understand this world, when we try to understand that great Ishvara, whatever questions which arises in our mind, many of them are answered in this Sri Dakshinamurty Stotram. Therefore, each and every stotra and each and every word in those stotras are very important. They are very subtle, conveying a very subtle aspect of this supreme truth. So we will have to really listen carefully and contemplate to comprehend the deeper import of this stotra. Bhagavan Shivji, who is the very expression of that Ishvara alone, Ishvara, who is Sakshat, that Brahma. The supreme reality is indicated in our Shastras as Brahma. And that Brahma is not different from this Atma. I am Atma, Brahma. That Brahma has got infinite powers. Brahma is indicated as Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam and has got Achintya Shakti. So Brahma, along with his Achintya Shakti, which is also called Maya or Prakriti, is also referred to as Ishvara. So Brahma himself is indicated as Ishvara. In Brahma Sutra also, the sutras begin with the beautiful sutra, Athato Brahma Jidnyasa. So let us now inquire and understand that Brahma. Then the sutra, second sutra, gives the Lakshana of that Brahma as Janmadhyasya Yataha. Means Brahma is that from whom the Janma, Sthiti and Laya of this Jagat has taken place. And while commenting on this sutra, Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji uses the term Ishvara for Brahma. Apart from Ishvara, there is no other source from whom this world has come into a manifestation. So Ishvara is that Brahma alone, and Ishvara alone expresses as this world and expresses as all the beings, including all the devatas. So the first expression of Ishvara is the Hiranyagarbha. And Hiranyagarbha alone is indicated as Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh. Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva. So Bhagavan Shivji is Hiranyagarbha, who is not only the creator of this world, but also protects this world and dissolves this world with his three forms as Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. So Bhagavan takes many avatars and expresses in different ways to bless this whole world, to bless the different types of seekers. And one of his most beautiful expression as a teacher is that of Sri Dakshinamurty. Bhagavan Shivji expressed himself as Dakshinamurti to bless the rishis who were seeking that supreme knowledge. There are stories in the Puranas where the rishis, who themselves were well versed in the Shastras, but by themselves could not comprehend the supreme truth, they went in search of a teacher. They searched everywhere. They went to even Brahmaji, but not very satisfied. Thereafter they approached Bhagavan Vishnuji, but still all their curiosity and jnana did not get fulfilled, get what you call satisfied. Then they approached Lord Shiva. And Bhagavan Shiva appeared in front of them in the form of Dakshinamurti. There's a beautiful visualization. Bhagavan Shivji as Dakshinamurti is seated under a banyan tree and he is facing the southern direction, and his disciples, the seekers, great rishis, they are sitting in front of him, surrounding him. And Bhagavan, just by his very silence and with chin mudra, teaches them, and all their doubts get dispelled and they gain that supreme knowledge. So Bhagavan Shivji himself, in the form of Dakshinamurti, is the first teacher, the Adi Guru, who has given this great wisdom of the Vedas, the Upanishads, to the rishis. And from the rishis, through Guru Shishya Parampara, this knowledge has come all the way to us also. So though Bhagavan expresses in various forms and has taken many avatars, and all these avatars Bhagavan take to protect good people, paritranaya sadhunam, vinashaya cha dushkritam, dharma sansthapanarthaya, sambhavami yuge yuge. Like that Bhagavan has said in Bhagavad Gita also, that he takes avatar in every yuga, whenever required, to protect the good sadhus, means those who follow the path of dharma, to destroy the evil asadhus, those who follow the path of adharma, and to establish dharma. And this Bhagavan does in every yuga. He manifests many times to maintain the balance of this whole world. He has set this world into motion, and Bhagavan keeps this world in proper balance by manifesting himself in some form and protecting the good, destroying the evil, and re-establishing dharma. But one of his most fascinating and the most wonderful form is that of Sri Dakshinamurti. Because here Bhagavan gives us that teaching by which we can become free of this samsara. In all other forms, Bhagavan gives that teaching and that guidance so that we live properly in this world. But Bhagavan also wants us to become free of this samsara. And for that, Bhagavan takes a form of a teacher. He becomes a teacher. In Bhagavad Gita also we have seen that though Bhagavan Sri Krishna was the friend of Arjuna and the Pandavas, he had taken many roles. But in the Mahabharata during the war, Bhagavan takes the role of a teacher. He teaches Arjuna the path of dharma and also the path of Brahma. Here we have Sri Dakshinamurti, who has taken the role specifically of a teacher. He just wants to teach this Brahma Vidya to those who have the jidnyasa and to make them free of this samsara. The proper adhikaris who approach Bhagavan, they are taught to become free of this samsara. So here in this Dhyana Shloka, a beautiful visualization is given, a picture of how Bhagavan teaches his students. So in the first shloka of this Dhyana Shloka, we have chanted कि मौन व्याख्या प्रकटित परब्रह्म तत्वं युवानम् वर्षिष्ठान्ते वशद ऋषिगणैः आवृतं ब्रह्मनिष्ठैः आचार्येन्द्रं करकलित चिन्मुद्रमानन्दरूपं स्वात्मारामं मुदितवदनं दक्षिणामूर्तिमीढे. I do namaskar, I worship Sri Dakshinamurti Bhagavan. Dakshinamurti means who is looking in the Dakshin direction. Dakshin is south. One who is looking in the southern direction is called Dakshinamurti. What does it mean, looking at the southern direction? See, in our Shastra, all these directions are also very symbolic. The southern direction is the direction of death. It is the direction of change. It is the direction of samsara only. And northern direction is the direction of Ishvara, the direction of knowledge. It's a direction in which when we look, we see Bhagavan as a teacher. So Dakshinamurti Bhagavan himself is looking in the southern direction. And if we have to look at him, if we have to approach him, we have to turn around. We have to show our back to southern direction and look towards north. Look towards our supreme destination, supreme goal. Look towards immortality. Shift our attention away from death and look towards immortality. As we chant in the Shanti Mantra also, Asatoma Sadgamaya, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritangamaya. So Dakshinamurti himself is looking in the direction of death, but by doing so, he is inspiring, encouraging all disciples, all seekers to turn away from this direction and look at him, approach him. That is the beautiful meaning of that term, Dakshinamurti. Therefore, in all the temples, we have Bhagavan Dakshinamurti always, the image, the idol always facing south. But there is one more meaning to this term, Dakshinamurti. Dakshina Amurti. Dakshin means one who is most efficient, one who is most knowledgeable, wise, one who is the very embodiment of knowledge, and one who is efficient in imparting this knowledge, and who is also Amurti, who is formless, nameless. So the Dakshinamurti is that Brahma only, who is expressing as Dakshinamurti, who is of the nature of knowledge, but who himself is nameless and formless. This is a subtle meaning of the term Dakshinamurti. So Dakshinamurti Mide, I worship Bhagavan Sri Dakshinamurti. So what does he do? He says, Mauna Vyakhya Prakatita Parabrahma Tattvam. He is revealing, he revealed that Brahma Tattvam. He revealed the knowledge of that Supreme Brahma, which is indicated in all our Upanishads, in all the Shastras, the ultimate reality which has to be known. In Taittiriya Upanishad also, it is said, Ki Brahma vidapnoti param, one who knows that Brahma attains the Supreme, becomes free of all samsara, becomes free of all sufferings. So that Brahma has to be known. We have to recognize, we have to realize, we have to gain direct experience of that Brahma, which is our own self. But because of this mysterious avidya, we are not aware of our own self. We are not what you call, we don't have that knowledge of our own self. We know our own existence, but we don't know that I am that Brahma. And this avidya, which is anadi, ananta, keeps us tied down in this samsara. Because of this avidya, we have misunderstanding about ourselves, and we have misunderstanding about this world in front of us. And this misunderstanding, which is called adhyas, keeps this samsara going, keeps us in this samsara and makes us experience different joys and sorrows. So in order to become free of this samsara, we have to recognize Brahma as our own self, but we cannot do it by ourselves. Because Brahma is so subtle that it cannot be seen through our senses. It is beyond the senses. It cannot be inferred. So all the pramans, all the means of knowledge which we are using to understand this world fail to give us knowledge of Brahma. Pratyaksha, Anuman, Upaman and Arthapatti. These four pramanas we use to understand this world, but with the help of these four pramanas, we fail to comprehend our own self. So for this, to know ourselves, a fifth praman is required, and that is called Shastra praman or Agama praman. The Upanishads are the praman. But even if we have the Upanishad, the book in front of us, we will not gain the knowledge directly from the book. We need a teacher to unfold the praman. We need a teacher to bless us with this praman. Otherwise, even if we study and by heart all the Upanishads, we will not be able to comprehend this. So teacher is required. So just as the Vedas are Anadi, Ananta and Apaurusheya, they are beginningless, they are infinite, and they are not product of any being. They are not the product of any human being or any other being. They are the direct expressions of Brahma only. But to understand this Upanishad, we need a teacher. So there is, along with the Anadi Ananta Upanishads, the Vedas, there is also an Anadi Ananta Guru Shishya Parampara, which begins with the teacher. And the Adi Guru, the first teacher, is Ishvara himself as Dakshinamurty. Ishvara himself has taught this knowledge to the rishis, and through Guru Shishya Parampara it comes all the way to us. So the rishis, when they approached Dakshinamurty Bhagavan, who was seated under a banyan tree, he taught them. He taught Brahma Tattvam, the very essence of Brahma. And how did he teach them? Mauna Vyakhya. Bhagavan taught them in complete silence. That Brahma is so subtle that it cannot be defined, it cannot be described. In the Upanishads also we have seen that it is not something which can be seen through our senses. Even the speech, it doesn't reach that Brahma. Yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasasaha. The Vani as well as the mind tries to reach that Brahma but turns back without recognizing that Brahma. So it is so subtle, cannot be described, cannot be conveyed completely through words. The ultimate, the supreme, the sublime way of conveying is through the silence which comes from the very depth of the realization, the silence of an enlightened teacher, the silence of an enlightened master. In the modern times also, Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi Ji taught this great Brahma Vidya to very advanced, qualified seekers through silence. But all are not qualified to comprehend this silence. All are not qualified to understand and get tuned to this silence. See, just as our radio receiver, if you want to hear some music which is transmitted from some radio station, we have to tune that radio receiver to the perfect frequency at which the music is being transmitted. Only when the frequency matches, we will be able to hear the music. In the same way, the teacher is established in that Brahma Sakshatkar. The teacher has experienced that Supreme Brahma. It is something which is beyond the mind, beyond the senses, beyond the buddhi, beyond all words. But it is the direct experience of that teacher. And when he communicates that experience which cannot be described, cannot be defined. He communicates that experience through silence. In order to listen to this silence, in order to get tuned to this silence, we have to get tuned to the teacher. When we are completely in tune with the teacher, we will be able to identify with this silence and gain the same experience which the teacher has gained. So, Mauna Vyakhya Prakatita Parabrahma Tattvam Yuvanam. So, here the disciples who had approached, the seekers who have approached, they are very advanced seekers. They have themselves followed the path of dharma and have purified their antakaran. They were sincerely following all the rules and regulations given in the Shastras. Here the term used is ante vasat. These disciples, the students, were those who were living with the teacher, those who were serving the teacher, those who through their service have identified with the teacher. See, here the teacher is a Yuvanam. The Dakshinamurty Bhagavan is in Yuva Avastha, a young person, a young Devata. And all these disciples were Vasishtha. They were old, they were elderly. They have been following the path of Dharma for a long time. Generally, we feel the teacher wisdom comes through age. As we grow old, we become wise, we feel. It might be true regarding certain knowledge of this world, but when it comes to Brahma Vidya, it has got nothing to do with the physical age. So, Dakshinamurti is young, his body is young, but he is established in that Brahma. The Rishi Munis, they are old, their bodies have become old, but they have not gained that knowledge of that Brahma. And they were sitting there, staying with their teacher, serving the teacher, Ante Vasat, serving the teacher, staying with the teacher, tuning themselves with the teacher. So here we see the picture of the teacher sitting, and all these disciples, elderly disciples, are seated surrounding him. So Rishi Ganaihi Avrutam, surrounded by the Rishi Gana, all these rishis. And the teacher is teaching in silence. And when the teacher is teaching in silence, what are the disciples doing? They are also sitting silently, quietly, not speaking, not thinking, not imagining, but awake, alert, aware, and just sitting in the presence of the teacher. Somebody asked Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi Ji that how can I realize God? Bhagavan said, you be still and know you are God. If you are able to achieve the stillness, then there are no distractions from your thoughts, there are no distractions from your mind, there are no distractions from any words. You will be able to experience the presence of that Brahma, presence of that Bhagavan who is always there. See, if we want to experience silence in the outer world also, we ourselves should become extremely silent. Then we will be able to appreciate and be in tune with that silence around us. Similarly, if we want to experience the silence and the message conveyed through silence by our teacher, we have to become extremely silent within. So the disciples are sitting around the teacher who is seated in silence. And those disciples, Brahmanishthaihi, In that silence, they have understood, they gain that understanding of that Brahma, and they have also gained that abidance in that Brahma. They also gain that aparoksha anubhuti of that Brahma in the presence of the teacher. So silence is the most sublime way of communicating this Brahma Vidya. Silence of an enlightened master. Not a silence of an ignorant person. An ignorant person may also appear to be silent, but his mind is very active, constantly talking. That is not the silence. So everyone cannot comprehend silence. So in order to bless such disciples who are not of the highest order, who are not the supreme adhikari, the teacher uses other technique to convey this knowledge. And that technique is called through mudra, through sign, through gesture. Through gesture, which is also a very powerful way of communication. Suppose I want to show you the beautiful moon or a star in the sky. I point it out to you. I can also describe, but the description may not be understood. But I can point it out. In India also, if somebody asks us some direction of how to go on a particular road and all, we generally give that direction, the help of our hands, go straight, take a right, take a left, and all those things. So through gestures, through signs, through mudra, we can communicate. So here Dakshinamurty Bhagavan not only communicates this Brahma Vidya through silence, but he also communicates through a mudra, a gesture of the hand. And what gesture he uses? Chin Mudra. It's called Chin Mudra. This is called Chin Mudra. So Acharyendram Karakalita Chin Mudram Anandarupam. So who is Dakshinamurti? Acharyendram. Who is the Acharya Indra? Who is the very Bhagwan of all the Acharyas also. He is the teacher of the teachers. He is the king of all the teachers. He is the ultimate and the first teacher. Acharya Indram Karakalita, through his hands, he is holding mudra. Which mudra? Chin Mudram. This is called Chin Mudra. See, various mudras are there, which even on the Facebook and all, we have this mudra. If you want to like something. In the field of dance also, they have different mudras to show the flowers blooming or the sun rising, or the what you call the peacock and all those things. Even the various pranas, prana, pan, vyam, udan, saman, they are also expressed in different mudras. Different mudras are there, which are also very helpful for our to quieten our mind and to make our body also healthy. But mudra which is used by the teacher, enlightened teacher, to convey this Brahma Vidya is called Chin Mudra, or it is also called Jnana Mudra. And this is it. We have this our palm. So these fingers are there. The thumb is there. Thumb plays a very important role. Fingers are there. And when these three fingers are kept straight, or maybe slightly bent, and then this index finger is bent, and when it touches the tip of this thumb to form a circle, then this particular mudra is called Chin Mudra. You must have seen the image of Devatas showing this Chin Mudra. Many Devatas, they show this mudra also. It's called Abhaya Mudra, of blessings. This is Chin Mudra. So through this Chin Mudra, the teacher conveys this Brahma Vidya. How we will see. So Acharyenram Karakalita Chin Mudram Ananda Rupam. And Bhagavan Dakshinamurty is Ananda Rupa. He himself is the very embodiment of Ananda. That Brahma is indicated as Sat, Chit, Ananda and Ananta. So he is the very embodiment of that supreme bliss. So seated in bliss, Ananda Rupam, Swatma Ramam, reveling in his own self, Mudita Vadanam, and even his face is glowing with that joy, that bliss which is experienced. The face also expresses that bliss. So Mudita Vadanam, Dakshinamurty Mide, to that Dakshinamurti I worship. My namaskar, I worship that Dakshinamurti. So this Chin Mudra is used to convey this knowledge. See this, we have this our palm, in which the thumb plays a very important role. The thumb can touch all these fingers, and without the thumb, actually our palm becomes very ineffective to perform many work. So thumb is required. Thumb also stays away from these fingers. These are called fingers, but this is called thumb. So it stays away from the finger, all the fingers, but the fingers cannot function without the help of this thumb. So the thumb represents Ishvara. Thumb is Ishvara, who is very important, very strong. Without him, no work can be done. But Ishvara alone doesn't do. Along with these fingers, along with this, the thumb as well as fingers together, they perform whatever actions required. So this is Ishvara, and this finger, index finger, which we generally use to point out to something or point out to the other person, this finger, the Kshetrajna. The Kshetrajna is represented by this finger. Now the Kshetrajna is identified as though with the three. These three are the three bodies: Stula Sharir, Sukshma Sharir, Karan Sharir. The Kshetrajna identifies with this Stula Sharir, Sukshma Sharir, Karan Sharir, and consider itself as this body. And because of this identification, it considers itself as Karta, Bhokta, Jnata. So the Kshetrajna should distinguish itself as separate from these three bodies. That is the first step. And then surrender to that Ishvara and understand its oneness with that Ishvara. And once that understanding of oneness with Ishvara happens, then Ishvara and that Jiva becomes one only. There remains no difference between Ishvara and Jiva. Just like this circle. A circle where it begins and where it ends, we don't know. It is one. So the entire teaching of the Upanishad, the Vedanta, symbolically, through gesture, is conveyed through this Chin Mudra. Now, more about this we will see in our next class also. So in this Dhyana Shloka, the first Dhyana Shloka, the teacher, we should meditate on Dakshinamurty Bhagavan, offer our gratitude, offer our namaskar, offer our seva to Dakshinamurty Bhagavan, who is seated under a banyan tree, which will be described in the next verse, surrounded by the disciples, and who is teaching in silence as well as teaching with this Chin Mudra, and all the disciples also are get established in that Brahma. Dakshinamurti is Yuva, is young, and the disciples are elderly. Dakshinamurti is the king of all the teachers, and he is Ananda Rupam. He is the very embodiment of Ananda, happiness, who is reveling in his own self and who has got that bliss expressed on his face also. So more about this we will see in our class. The next class will be on Friday. Coming Friday, we will have the next class. We will continue with the Dhyana Shloka, and the timing will be same, 12 to 1 p.m. Indian Standard Time, and it will be live on this YouTube channel. So all of you please subscribe to the channel, and also you should click that bell icon so that you will get notification whenever I come alive online on this YouTube, live on YouTube. So now we will conclude with a prayer, and we'll meet again this coming Friday. But on Wednesday we will have our Sundarkand session, and that Sundarkand session will happen on Facebook page as usual, same time 12 to 1. So till then, you take care, be happy, safe, peaceful, healthy, do your work, do your sadhana, and see you all again soon. Hari Om. Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram, 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 Jaya Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. बोलिए सियावर रामचंद्र भगवान की जय. ओम पूर्णमद पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते. ओम शांति शांति शांति. हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः. हरि ओम.